Sometimes, just a very tiny moment in nature can hide an entire secret universe. Dew and the sun. Their early morning encounter is one of those moments. Quiet, fragile, yet filled with delicate scientific stories that few have ever truly noticed. In this video, you will be gently lulled to sleep by the magical journey of a dewdrop from darkness to light, where the sun not only makes it disappear, but also reveals profound natural laws, softly explained with simple words and a soothing narrative rhythm. If you love gentle stories that nurture your curiosity before sleep, please stay with me until the end of this video, and don't forget to subscribe to the Smart Sleep channel to continue accompanying us through these enchanting scientific journeys. When night has just fallen and the last sounds have faded away, there is a tiny, quiet event that we rarely pay much attention to. It is the moment when tiny particles of water vapor, which have been floating somewhere in the air all day long, begin to find their resting place. They descend so lightly that they leave almost no trace, then settle on the surface of leaves, on the wooden porch, on the blades of grass that have just come to rest after a long day in the sun. And in that very moment, a dew droplet is formed. A strange thing, a simplicity almost forgotten by the world, yet containing a far greater story, threading its way through physics, meteorology, and the very rhythm of the planet's breath. That little droplet is tiny, but for it to appear, the entire atmosphere has to reset its rhythm. The air must be cold enough for water vapor to condense, yet calm enough that no gust of wind is strong enough to scatter the fragile structure of that newborn droplet. And in that silent harmony, the chill of the night is like the universe's gentle hand, touching the vapor and inviting it to change state. The water vapor becomes a droplet, shifting from invisible to visible, as if a vague thought had turned into clear words. People sometimes fail to notice that this tiny droplet of dew is a subtle note that nature leaves behind after a long night, a sign of what the sky has gone through. Calm or unsettled, humid or dry, bitterly cold or just pleasantly cool. Each droplet of dew is an extremely precise page of a diary that requires no pen other than the natural behavior of molecules. When you look at a dewdrop on a leaf in the morning, you are actually looking at the story of the entire night before, a night in which water vapor rose from the ground, from rivers and lakes, from the breath of living creatures, mixed into the air, waiting for ideal conditions to be seen. The dew carries those memories. We simply do not have eyes sensitive enough to read them the way scientists do. To understand a dewdrop, we need to listen to the slow rhythm of nature, a tempo that our hurried lives often make us forget. The night must be just cold enough for water vapor to leave its gaseous state, but if it is too cold, everything freezes, turning into frost instead of soft dew. The air must be still enough for the dew to cling to the surface, but if it is too still, there would be no circulation needed to lift water vapor upwards. Everything exists within a delicate balance that nature has maintained for billions of years. If you try to imagine a dewdrop as a tiny living being, you will see it as a nocturnal wanderer. All day long, this wanderer drifts with the wind, nameless, invisible. But at night, when the world sinks into a calm, almost like meditation, this wanderer finally finds a temporary home to rest, gathers itself, and slowly appears in a form we can see with the naked eye. Just like humans, only in stillness can water vapor become dew, and in its liquid form, it records what it has been through: the humidity of the air, the shifts of the wind, the temperature variations, Meteorologists call this the atmospheric memory. And dew is one of the simplest yet most sophisticated storage devices the planet has created. But dew is not only physical evidence, it is also an image, a symbol of the gentle transition from day to night, from warmth to cold, from noise to quiet. Each time the sun sets, Earth seems to slow down a little, and dew is the sign of that slower rhythm. It does not form under harsh lights or in frantic sounds. It only appears when the world is almost holding its breath. This makes dew feel like a reminder of the necessity of stillness in life. We only truly see something clearly when everything around softens, when we allow ourselves to step out of the spinning wheel. And just like dew, people at times need to settle long enough for the invisible things in their minds to surface. Science views dew with a different gaze. Instead of seeing it as merely condensed vapor, researchers consider it a temporary reservoir of environmental data. Within a single droplet of dew, one can find traces of the gases present during the night before. From fine dust to organic compounds in the air, we can tell whether the night held much pollution, whether winds from an urban area blew through, and even infer plant activity during that period. This makes dew not only beautiful, but useful. It helps us better understand where we live, the quality of the air we breathe, and subtle yet important changes in our surroundings. One tiny droplet, no larger than a pinhead, can tell the story of an area spanning kilometers, and that is something very few people are aware of. If we could magnify a dewdrop thousands of times, we would see a chaotic yet exquisite world inside. Water molecules vibrating constantly, tiny dust particles floating, microbial spores waiting to be awakened by the sunlight. The dew droplet is full of life, but that life is asleep, waiting for the first ray of light to begin moving. When we look at dew, we are looking at the intersection of stillness and motion, of night and day, of the unconscious and awakening. A dewdrop is the fleeting instant that lies at the boundary between these two worlds. And when you bow down close enough, you will see what many overlook. The dewdrop reflects the entire night sky in a distorted yet magical form. Faint stars, the dark shapes of tree canopies, the leftover glow of a distant street lamp, all are unconsciously held within the dew, like a tiny mirror. No expectation, no intention, no filtering. It simply records what happens around it in that last moment of the night. And in this, we can see the purity of nature. Everything has the capacity to remember. We just rarely look closely enough to notice. In the world of science, the formation of dew is explained with terms such as dew point, relative humidity, and saturation level of the air. But behind all these theories lies a gentle truth. Dew is the result of perfect balance. When the air can no longer hold more water vapor, it releases it, and the vapor seeks out the coldest surfaces. This formation is so soft it makes no sound, yet it is enough to change the appearance of an entire garden in an instant. The next morning, when you step outside, the ground is slightly damp, even though there was no rain during the night. Those are the footprints of dew, the little notes Earth offers to our curious eyes. Even more interestingly, dew has an important biological meaning. In nature, many creatures depend on dew to survive, especially in regions with little rainfall. Tiny insects, desert lizards, and even some bird species know how to collect dew using special structures on their bodies. Dew is not just condensed moisture, it is a source of life, and that source of life begins from the seemingly insignificant process happening on the leaf before you. When you observe dew, you are witnessing a subtle link in the ecosystem, a delicate journey that helps nourish all the life around us. But in this video, I want you to look at dew not only with scientific reasoning, but with the softness of emotion. Imagine a gentle summer night when everything in the house has fallen asleep. You open the door and step out onto the porch, and the air carries a faint coolness that wakes you just enough. The trees stand still, the sky is windless, and somewhere in the distance, there is the solitary sound of an insect. The night is like a thin blanket draped over the sky, and within that layer of stillness, dew begins to form, bit by bit, like notes of music no one hears. It is not hurried, does not compete for space. It simply arrives at the right moment, then quietly lies there. That is what makes dew one of the most beautiful moments nature creates. It is unshowy, not dazzling, yet full of depth. When you know that dew holds the history of the entire night's atmosphere, you will no longer see it as trivial. Each droplet is a story waiting to be read, a slice of time. It tells of water vapor rising from a lake miles away at dusk, of a soft midnight breeze carrying dust from somewhere else, of a sudden drop of just a few degrees that triggered the whole condensation process. Dew has no voice, but it has evidence. It has no intention of telling stories, but it contains all the data we need to listen to. Have you noticed that the smallest things sometimes contain the greatest messages? We have grown used to seeing the world with eyes that seek what is overwhelming, bright, and powerful. But dew teaches us a different way of seeing, gentler, slower, deeper. It is precisely in stillness that we recognize the true beauty of what has always been around us. And when the sun rises and the dew evaporates, what it leaves behind in you, in your perception, can remain for a long time. Because it is not just water, it is a witness of the night, a silent storyteller of the atmosphere, an invitation to slow down and listen to the world with a different kind of hearing. And then, as we gently close our eyes and listen to the subtle movements of the passing night, there will be a very small, very quiet moment when the world is about to shift. From the story of dew silently recording the breath of darkness, we begin to turn our gaze toward what is coming. Because no matter how still the night is, there is always one familiar visitor who returns every morning. And the question is, what truly happens in the instant when the first light touches the dew? And why is that moment so special? When you wake up very early one morning, before the birds, before the city stirs, there is something that seems obvious but is in fact incredibly complex. The sun does not pour its light straight down to the ground all at once before reaching where you stand. That light must travel through many layers, being bent, scattered, split into countless directions and countless colors. So what does that light meet first? Not the ground, not the trees, but the tiny particles suspended in the air, fine dust, water vapor, and especially the newly formed dewdrops still trembling from the cold of the night. At this point, the dew is no longer just the keeper of atmospheric memory. It begins to play the role of a prism, a soft, rounded, transparent prism, capable of bending the sun itself. This may sound too grand for something so small, but scientific reality supports this beauty. Every spherical droplet of liquid can refract light. When light passes from air into water, its speed changes, and thus its direction changes. And this small change splits the light into delicate shades, creating the shimmering effect we often pass by without truly pausing to feel. If you have ever seen a dewdrop glimmering on the edge of a leaf before full daylight, then you have witnessed a light show without needing a laboratory. The first sunlight is very faint and slightly red or orange, as it has traveled a long path through the atmosphere. When that light touches the dewdrop, the tiny droplet seems to grasp it, hold part of it, bend another part, then softly release it like a breath. The result is a dewdrop glowing from within, like a tiny gem emitting its own light. Here we can ask an interesting question. Why is morning light different from midday light? And how does that affect the dew? The answer lies in the angle of incidence. In the morning, the sun is low on the horizon, so its light has to pass through a much thicker layer of atmosphere than when the sun is overhead. Along that long journey, blue light is scattered the most. So the light that reaches our eyes is mainly red, orange, and yellow. This also means that when this light touches the dew, those colors are the first visitors to the droplet, and for a few brief seconds, the dew carries the gentle hues of early morning, a light that makes us feel as if the sky itself is breathing softly. When that light enters the dewdrop, another miracle occurs. The droplet magnifies whatever lies beneath it. Although we already mentioned this natural microscope effect earlier, at morning's edge it becomes even more pronounced. The thin veins of a leaf appear sharper. Tiny grains of pollen scattered across the grass look like small planets in a miniature galaxy. If the human eye could look very close and very slowly, you would see that each dewdrop is its own universe, reflecting both the outer world and the world unfolding within it. But perhaps what makes this moment more profound is not only the optics, but the deeply human feeling of watching something so small meet light for the first time that day. The dewdrop has lain there silently all night long, as if gathering all secrets inside itself, and when the first sunlight touches it, it is as if a conversation begins, a wordless, quiet, yet meaningful encounter. The dew tells the sun about the night. The sun responds with a gentle band of light, letting it shine one last time before it vanishes into the air. For older Americans, the listeners who are with you right now, paying attention to such small moments may reveal a sense of very personal familiarity, because we ourselves, over time, also become a bit like dew, quietly observing, preserving, remembering details others might overlook. And when a new day begins, we, too, meet the light in our own way, as if a lifetime of experiences were illuminated in that moment when sunlight touches our shoulders. Back to science. What makes morning scattered light so soft is Rayleigh scattering. Rayleigh scattering causes particles smaller than the wavelength of light, such as gas molecules, to scatter blue light in all directions. Red light, with its longer wavelength, can pass through this journey and reach the dew. This is why the sky at dawn often appears warm in color, and it is also why dew at this hour shimmers with a rose gold glow instead of appearing completely clear. If you have ever held a crystal in the sunlight, you have seen light bend into many different colors. A dewdrop does the same, only on a much smaller, more delicate scale. And this delicacy makes it perfect for lulling one to sleep. In bedtime storytelling, we seek gentle images, familiar sensations, things that move slowly. A dewdrop reflecting the light of dawn is exactly such an image, soft, unforced, unrushed, quietly unfolding before our eyes. Try to imagine that early scene very clearly, very slowly. The field or garden behind the house is still steeped in the lingering coolness of the night. The air is slightly moist, but not heavy. You step out onto the porch in a light shirt, feeling the faint breeze carrying the scent of grass. The sky is not yet fully blue. It is a subtle blend of grey, violet, orange, and a touch of gentle yellow. You lean down and see a dewdrop cradling the first light, not so bright as to dazzle, not so dim as to be missed. just enough. Enough to make you want to linger a bit longer. Enough for your heart to know that the new day has begun tenderly. From a scientific perspective, dew also tells us much about how clean the morning air is. A dewdrop that reflects light strongly and clearly often forms when the air is less polluted, because large dust particles can weaken refraction effects. They scatter light too much, causing the dew to lose its sparkle. So when we see dew shining with pure clarity, it is a sign that the night's atmosphere has not been heavily disturbed by pollution. This makes that moment all the more precious, especially for those living in big cities. Such mornings are rarer than we think. The encounter between dew and the sun is actually the meeting of opposites: cold and warmth, darkness and light, stillness and motion. And it is this opposition that creates the unique beauty of dawn. This is also why photographers love to shoot at this time. The light is still soft, still gentle. The dewdrops remain intact. The air is hazy enough to form a natural veil around everything. But perhaps the most important reason is that this is when the world has just opened its eyes, but is not fully awake yet. Everything seems to be yawning, stretching, slowly stepping out of its dreams. Within the dewdrop at this moment, if we could look deeper, we would see a quiet movement underway. Rising temperatures cause the water molecules to move faster. The dew begins to change. It swells slightly, trembles slightly, preparing to evaporate. And the morning light is its first farewell. Light does not come only to illuminate. It comes to awaken, to remind the dew that its brief life cycle is about to end. And the dew, in that moment, shines at its most beautiful, like a flower that blooms fully in its final second before falling. We speak so much about dew, but at a deeper level. This analysis is also a story about light. Light can carry information from the sun to the earth in 8 minutes, crossing almost all space at nearly absolute speed. But when that light approaches the ground, it is shaped by the most fragile of things: water vapor, dust, mist, particles so small the naked eye cannot see them. This makes light feel more human, more intimate, because it reminds us that even something as powerful as light can be softened, bent, altered by the very smallest of things. In that sense, a dewdrop can be seen as a translator between the sun and the earth. It takes the sun's vast light and returns to us the gentlest, most comforting version, especially for those who sleep poorly, who step into the day at a slower rhythm, whose minds need soft images to feel at ease. Dew and sunlight are the perfect companions for such mornings. One brings the story of the night, the other brings the hope of the day, and they meet in that moment when we happen to look down at a leaf. If you listen closely and imagine deeply, you can sense the slow change of light as it passes through the dew. Like a soft sigh, like a faint tremor at your fingertips when you touch something cool, like warmth beginning to slip into your collar as the sun climbs a little higher. Everything in that scene carries the quality of transition. Nothing is entirely still, yet every movement is so gentle we can sink into it without being forced into full alertness. Another interesting detail that Americans rarely think about, though it is very true. Morning light helps reset the biological clock. When dim red light touches the retina, the body begins to reduce the production of melatonin, the hormone that causes drowsiness. But because this light is still weak, it does not jolt you awake. It simply guides you from drowsiness to wakefulness in the mildest way. Combined with the image of dew, this becomes a natural tonic for the spirit, a moment that allows the body to change state, softly, unhurriedly, exactly what older viewers cherish: gentleness. Then, slowly, the sun rises higher. The light grows stronger. The dew begins to vanish. But in those few brief minutes, it has completed its role. It has made the light more beautiful. It has helped us see the world more clearly. It has told us the story of the night, and then, like many other beautiful things in life, it leaves in silence. And then, after the first sunlight touches the dew, and we have just managed to catch its tender sparkle, the story opens onto another deeper layer, a layer people seldom think about, even though we see dew every morning. If the outer side of the dewdrop is fragile beauty, then what lies within? And why can something so tiny maintain such a perfectly rounded shape? That question, in fact, leads us into a world so delicate it sometimes surpasses our imagination. Viewed with the naked eye, a dewdrop looks like a tiny glass bead resting on a leaf. It is round, it is clear, it is silent, but behind that silence is an ongoing performance of physics. First, we need to understand why the dewdrop is round. The spherical shape is no accident. It is the direct result of a scientific phenomenon called surface tension. Put simply, water molecules like being close to one another. They attract and cling to each other, like close friends holding hands tightly. When many water molecules come together, they try to form the shape with the smallest possible surface area, and the sphere is the ideal shape for that purpose. On a mathematical level, the sphere has the smallest surface area for the volume it contains. This means a droplet will choose to be spherical when no other force acts too strongly on it. And because on a morning leaf the dewdrops are very small, gravity can hardly flatten them, so they remain nearly perfectly spherical. If the drop were larger, its shape would be distorted, but dewdrops are usually tiny, so light that even a fine hair could hold them in an almost perfectly round form. However, if we stop there, we miss the most interesting part, because inside that perfect little sphere, all the water molecules are moving, dancing, spinning, vibrating non-stop. Water never truly stands still. No matter how calm it looks, each molecule inside is traveling at a very high speed. They constantly collide, separate, and reconnect, trading places millions of times a second. You can imagine it as a chaotic dance party, governed by invisible rules. Everything is in motion, yet that motion sustains the smooth, complete appearance on the outside. Because of this, a dewdrop is a beautiful combination of order and chaos. Outside is an almost perfect geometric structure. Inside is the oscillation of motion, the random encounters of billions of water molecules. That is why physicists often say water is a liquid that plays within order. And when sunlight shines into the dewdrop, those internal movements become more apparent to our eyes, even if only through subtle reflections of light. So the question arises, what does the sun do to reveal that invisible movement? The sun's rays, as we mentioned earlier, are bent when they meet the dew. But they are not only bent at the boundary between air and water. As light travels deeper inside the drop, it interacts with the vibrating water molecules. These molecules constantly change position, making the path of light within the dew never entirely stable. Part of the light is scattered, part absorbed, part reflected, creating tiny points of light that we only see when conditions are perfect, like at dawn. When we look at a dewdrop in the early sunlight, we are not only seeing the reflection of the sun, we are seeing traces of the microscopic movements inside that droplet of water. All those vibrations and oscillations, too small for the naked eye to perceive directly, together create that gentle shimmer, as if the light were dancing with the water molecules. If you imagine that scene as looking into a living crystal sphere, That is quite a close image. But real crystal, however beautiful, remains still. The dewdrop, however, is alive. It is in motion. It is changing, tiny part by tiny part, every millionth of a second. That is why, even if there are millions of dewdrops across the meadow in the early morning, no two reflect light in the same way. Each drop of dew is unique. Each drop of dew is its own symphony. It is fascinating to think that the people listening to you now, Americans aged 45 to 90, may also be like a dewdrop in their own way. On the outside, their lives may seem calmer, more settled, no longer as turbulent as in their 20s. But inside, their minds, memories, emotions, and reflections are still constantly moving. They run, they shift, they brush gently against one another whenever we recall something or quietly contemplate. Within each person is a whole world that only they fully know, and light, whether it is the light of a new day or the light of a story, always finds a way to make that inner world appear more beautiful. Returning to the science, surface tension is the mold that shapes the dewdrop, but the thermal oscillations inside are what make the droplet feel alive. As the temperature gradually rises in the morning, the water molecules move faster. This creates a slight vibration that makes the dewdrop seem as if it is breathing. As the sun climbs higher, the energy of the light grows stronger. The internal motion becomes more intense, and at some point, the dewdrop can no longer maintain its spherical structure. It spreads out, splits into smaller parts, and then evaporates. That entire process of disappearance begins with microscopic oscillations we cannot see, but which directly determine the dew's existence. Just like the way we go through a single day, the very small changes we often overlook, passing emotions, fleeting thoughts, the warmth of sunlight at the window, are the subtle oscillations that reshape our inner structure, and by the end of the day, we have become a slightly different version of ourselves than we were in the morning. The dewdrop teaches us that change always begins with small, gentle fluctuations that seem insignificant. The inner world of the dewdrop is also one of the most beautiful examples of molecular kinetic theory. According to this theory, every liquid is made of molecules in constant motion. The higher the temperature, the faster their velocity. This explains why dew seems to sparkle more intensely as the sun rises. At that time, the internal oscillations cause the surface of the dew to tremble slightly, making the reflected light shift continuously, like tiny stars. If you look very closely, truly very closely, you will see that the edge of the dewdrop is not completely stable. It seems to quiver, to oscillate a little, like a very slow pulse. But because the dewdrop is so small, the human eye cannot clearly distinguish that vibration. Light, however, can. Light responds immediately to every tiny change on the surface. Each oscillation is a change in the direction of reflection. Each microscopic movement of a water molecule creates a thin, faint ray of light, just enough to make the dewdrop feel alive. In this sense, the dewdrop is like a tiny, quietly beating heart, not a heart that beats with blood, but one that beats with the oscillations of molecules, a natural rhythm of life, unseen yet present, and when light touches it, that inner rhythm is revealed through soft reflections. This makes us realize that what we see of the dew is only the visible part, the bright surface. Behind it lies a whole world in motion. Just like humans, we only see one another through outward expressions. But inside are long stories, journeys of the soul, vibrations no one but ourselves fully understands. Speaking from a broader scientific perspective, Water has an extraordinarily flexible structure. It is the only natural substance that exists stably in all three states: solid, liquid, gas, within Earth's temperature range. This gives water a special mechanism of bonding and unbonding. Water molecules constantly form temporary hydrogen bonds, one molecule clinging to another for an extremely brief moment, then separating, then forming a new bond elsewhere. This is why water adapts so easily, transforms so easily, oscillates so easily. No other liquid behaves with such dynamic character. In a dewdrop, this happens on an extremely small scale. Each hydrogen bond that forms exists for only about a trillionth of a second, but every formation and breakage creates a tiny movement, contributing to an overall organized chaos. If we compare this to humans, those microscopic movements resemble the small moments of life: a passing thought, a light touch of memory, an unintended recollection. Each tiny piece adds to the fluidity of our inner world. The dewdrop is a gentle reminder: the softest things are often the most adaptable. When we place the dewdrop into the light of dawn, these motions become visible thanks to Mie, scattering, a phenomenon that occurs when particle size here, the droplet, is comparable to the wavelength of the light that hits it. Mie scattering creates a soft, even reflection that makes the dew glow as if it had its own inner light. This effect is often most noticeable in the morning, when the light is not too strong, not too white, with a hint of gentle red, as if the sun were whispering a lullaby into the dew. And in that moment, the dewdrop becomes a tiny lantern of the early morning, a lantern whose light flickers with the oscillations of water molecules. If you let yourself look longer than usual, you will sense the dewdrop as if it were glowing from within, like a small creature awakening. This is also why many atmospheric scientists say that dewdrops are a dynamic map of the environment. By observing how dew reflects light, they can infer temperature, humidity, dust levels, and other atmospheric conditions. Every small change in the environment appears immediately on the surface of the dew through the way the light fluctuates, as if nature had written an encrypted code compressed into that little sphere. But beyond science, the dewdrop carries a gentle lesson for the listener's mind. It reminds us that a peaceful exterior does not contradict a vibrant inner world. We may look still, but our minds are always moving. We may feel as if we are standing in place, but our thoughts are constantly changing, and that is not something to fear. On the contrary, it is what makes us alive. In every minute that a dewdrop rests on a leaf, it stores and reflects the whole world. It holds the darkness of the night, then reflects the morning sun. It contains inner chaos, yet appears as a perfect sphere. It is both balance and movement, both order and disorder, both the record of the night and the light of day. And then, like every breath, like every beautiful moment, it slowly dissolves into the air. No pain, no regret, leaving no trace, but leaving within us something very small yet very deep, the sense that all fragility has value, and that every small thing contains within it a far greater world. And so, after we have just journeyed together into the microscopic world moving inside the dewdrop, perhaps you can also feel that everything that seems still has its own living rhythm, from the shimmer on the surface to the soft oscillations within. The dewdrop has told us part of its story, but morning always carries surprises, and the next question is a delightful one. What happens when the temperature begins to rise, when the sun lifts itself a bit higher, and the dewdrop approaches the most delicate transition of its life? As the sun moves closer to the horizon, the world changes slowly, almost inaudibly. The air is still cool, but no longer carries the sharp chill of night. The light is shifting from deep red to pale orange. The grass begins to warm slightly. Leaves tremble as the first breaths of morning wind stir. And now, the dewdrop, which has been held perfectly in the embrace of surface tension all night, starts to feel the change. Not a drastic change, just a little more energy. But for the dewdrop, a little is enough to make a great difference. The dewdrop enters a stage scientists call a phase transition. But said more gently, we might think of it as the moment when the dew asks itself, shall I stay a bit longer, or is it time to go? Because as the temperature rises, the water molecules inside the droplet begin to move faster. Oscillations that were once as soft as breathing start to grow stronger. The bonds between molecules loosen, and the dewdrop, that perfect sphere, begins to waver. It is intriguing to realize that dew does not vanish the instant the sun appears. It does not disappear abruptly. Instead, it goes through a series of invisible negotiations among natural forces. Gravity pulls it downward. Surface tension holds it together. The vapor pressure outside wants to pull molecules away into the air. Heat from the sun urges that escape forward. And the dewdrop, though unconscious, stands at the center of these forces, like someone standing in the middle of an important meeting. Science calls this phenomenon evaporation. But evaporation is not merely the switch from liquid to gas. It is a highly complex molecular process. As the temperature rises, not all water molecules leave at once. Only those with enough energy escape the surface. This creates a tiny imbalance that gradually changes the shape of the dew. The sphere flattens. The edges grow thinner. Some of the vapor slips up into the air, forming a faint, invisible mist, and the dewdrop shrinks. However, what makes this moment special is not only the dry scientific changes, but the feeling it evokes, the fragility of something beautiful, about to leave. The dew does not resist the sun. It does not cling. It simply transforms, gently, as if it has known all along its journey would last only one night, and that its vanishing is not loss, but a return to the larger cycle of water. So what makes this moment, the phase transition, feel so alive, even though it happens in complete silence? The answer lies in nature's subtlety. Imagine the dewdrop in those first minutes of morning. It is no longer perfectly round. One side has flattened slightly, as if gravity were whispering that it is time to return to the earth. Its surface feels a bit more tense. The weak first rays of sunlight strike the curved face of the droplet, making it glow from within. But if you look carefully, you will notice that this shimmer is different from the one before dawn. It is more delicate. Like the final light of a performance. At this moment, the dewdrop is more sensitive than ever. A light breeze, a tiny vibration on the leaf, can make it slide away or break into smaller droplets. This boundary between still here and no longer here creates an indescribable beauty. It is the beauty of transience, of temporariness, of the moment we know something will pass yet still wish it would stay longer. Older viewers in America, those who often listen to you as they prepare to sleep, understand such moments deeply. They have lived through many transitions, from youth to maturity, from busyness to tranquility, and they know that transformation, however fragile, always carries its own beauty. The morning dew is a perfect image for this. It teaches us that some changes arrive without noise or warning, yet are very real, very natural. In this phase transition, the balance among forces becomes so delicate that just one more degree of warmth, just a little stronger light, or a slight drop in humidity will push the dew to its evaporation point. Scientists call this the local evaporation threshold, the point at which all the surface molecules of the droplet tend toward escape. But for ordinary people, we can simply see it as the moment when the dew sighs, preparing to vanish. This is where light plays a major role. Beyond heating, light reveals every smallest curve and boundary of the dew. As warmth flattens the droplet, light reflects differently, creating a shimmering effect along its rim. This effect is called the dew ring. It appears as a thin, small band of light like a silver ring encircling the droplet. It is a sign that the water is stepping into its next state. If you pay close attention on a very quiet morning, you will see that dew does not evaporate evenly. It usually disappears at the edges first, then at the center. This is because the edges are in greatest contact with the air and most exposed to thermal fluctuations. Yet it is also the edges that create the most special beauty just before the dew is gone. As they thin out, light passes through, like through a thin pane of glass, making the droplets seem to dissolve into light before it turns to vapor. When discussing this phase transition, scientists also mention the Kelvin effect, the principle that the smaller a droplet becomes, the more easily it evaporates. This explains why, as the dew nears its end, its rate of disappearance speeds up compared to the beginning. As the droplet's size decreases, the vapor pressure inside rises, and in a very short time, the dew is pulled away from itself. Pictured metaphorically, it is like a small heart beating faster just before it stops. But in a bedtime story, we do not see this vanishing as loss. It is like the ending of a gentle song. That ending does not sadden us. It makes us feel that everything is returning to where it belongs. Because the dew is not gone, it has only changed state. It dissolves into the air, returns to vapor, and continues a journey that may, by tomorrow, bring it back to the grass as another dewdrop. Just like many things in life, nothing disappears completely. It only changes form, changes role, changes the way we perceive it. If you close your eyes for a moment and relax your breath, you can picture that moment very clearly. The dew lies there, knowing the sunlight is growing stronger. It does not tremble in fear. It does not rush. It receives, as the earth receives rain, as trees receive wind. Everything unfolds slowly, softly, without urgency. Though within it there is a world of chaos, its surface remains perfectly calm, and that calm is what makes us feel safe. The image of the dew in this moment of transformation helps the listener's mind loosen. It helps us understand that change does not have to be violent. Some changes come so gently, we barely notice them. Yet those are the changes that carry us into the next phase of life. As the sun climbs higher, the dew finally disappears. But its most beautiful part, the phase transition moment, stays in our memory. And perhaps, on another morning, when you see a dew drop shimmering on the doorstep, you will look at it a little longer, understand it a little more deeply, and smile, knowing that even the smallest thing contains silent negotiations among the forces of nature. And as we move past the moment when the dew is about to dissolve into the air, there is something fascinating that is often forgotten. Right before that boundary of disappearance, while the dew still retains its full shape and the sunlight is bright enough, it steps into a completely unexpected role. It becomes a natural microscope. This may sound strange, but it is one of the most delicate gifts nature offers to those willing to bend down and look closely. So what allows such a tiny droplet of water to magnify an entire hidden world beneath it? If you have ever noticed water droplets on a window pane or tabletop, you may have seen how the image beneath them is distorted peculiarly. The droplet makes everything look larger, clearer. That is the lens effect. And the dewdrop works the same way. But what makes the dew more special than most man-made lenses is not only its material or clarity, but its perfectly tiny size. A spherical dewdrop functions like a converging lens. Light passing into it is bent, then focused at a point just beneath the leaf's surface. When that light reflects into our eyes, the image we see is the magnified structure of the leaf's surface. That is why, when you lean in very close, you can see tiny veins, fine hairs, and minute plant tissues sharply revealed through the dewdrop. At this moment, the dew is no longer just the keeper of the night's memory or the friend that meets the morning sun. It is a tiny lens helping us see the world in a way we never could unaided. And this leads to an interesting question. Why does the dew only become a microscope in that last moment before it evaporates? The answer lies in its shape. When newly formed or still thick, the dew has a large curvature and refracts light in a way that produces blurred or distorted images. But as the sun thins the droplet, its shape becomes optimal for focusing light. The radius of curvature decreases, bringing the focal point closer to the leaf's surface. This makes magnification much clearer. It is as if the dew has entered its most lucid state. In everyday life, our eyes cannot resolve extremely small details, like epidermal cell structures, microscopic protective hairs, or the waxy layer covering the leaf. These structures are only a few micrometers wide, far below our visual threshold. But the dew, with its natural ability to bend light, gives us a window into that world. It should also be said that these hidden structures are crucial for plants. Thanks to the waxy coating and micro hairs, leaves reduce water loss, resist dust, and maintain natural cleanliness. That is why many leaves look freshly washed, though no one has ever wiped them. The dew, in that magnifying moment, reveals nature's self-cleaning mechanism, what science calls the lotus effect. Scientists once studied dew on lotus leaves and found that the leaf's microstructure prevents water from soaking in. It beads and rolls off, carrying dust away. And dewdrops were the starting point of that discovery. So we can say that dew does not just tell stories, it also hints at new scientific insights. Beyond science, the moment when dew becomes a microscope carries a deeply human beauty. It resembles the stage in life when a person sees most clearly in the final moments of an experience, a relationship, or a chapter of their journey. Those final minutes often bring the sharpest clarity about ourselves and others, just like the dewdrop, which, in the few minutes before it vanishes into the air, gives us the clearest view of its tiny world. Imagine yourself bending over a leaf on a quiet morning. No cars, no noise, only a gentle breeze and growing shafts of light. The dew lies there, small as a bead. But when you look closer, the leaf's veins appear as clear as if seen through a magnifying glass. Those veins are like the plant's fingerprints. Each species has its own pattern. Each leaf, even on the same branch, has its own lines. And only in that brief moment does the dew let us see those secrets. This image can give older listeners a very deep sense of peace. Anyone who has lived long understands that the smallest things often hold the most secrets. Age teaches us to see more slowly, more carefully. And because of that, moments like a dewdrop, magnifying the pattern of a leaf, become especially meaningful. It is like a reminder that no matter how wide and noisy the world is, there are still quiet corners for those who are willing to bow down and notice. From an optical standpoint, the magnifying effect of the dewdrop is related to the refractive index of water. Water bends light more than air because of its higher molecular density. When light passes from air into the dew, it changes direction and concentrates the image beneath into a focal point. Our eyes perceive a magnified image because the focal point is very close to the leaf surface. This is similar to how the human eye works. The eye also uses a lens, but the dew has the advantage of being almost perfectly spherical, which reduces certain distortions. This is why a dewdrop can magnify to the point where we see structures that many simple handheld magnifiers cannot reveal. The most delicate part is this. All of this exists only for a few minutes, perhaps only from 6 to 6:30 inches the morning. When the sun climbs higher, the dew begins to evaporate, and the chance to see the world through that tiny lens is gone. It is this impermanence that makes the moment so precious. Nature photographers often say that the long morning lasts less than 10 minutes. What they mean is that the most beautiful moments, when the light is soft, the dew is still there, and the world is still half asleep, exist only for a very short time. And it is in that narrow window that the dew becomes a small doorway into the secret world of the leaf. And when you think about it, there is something truly beautiful in this. An ordinary drop of water, something we see every day, can become a lens that lets us peer deeper into nature. It does not require expensive equipment or a lab. It only requires slowness. And slowness is exactly what your listeners, the older ones, have learned through a lifetime. Just as the dew magnifies the patterns of the leaf, people who move more slowly also see more deeply into everything, into their loved ones, into each breath, into the things that hurried youth often ignores. The dewdrop, in its role as microscope, does not act as a scientist. It acts as a storyteller. It shows us beauty in places we were not looking. The patterns of the leaf, the tiny waxy ridges, the microscopic layers beneath the surface, all are evidence of life, but in its quietest, most delicate form. And when the dew magnifies these things, it is as if it were inviting us to look at the world with a gentler gaze, with less judgment, with less haste. What is special is that when the dewdrop magnifies the patterns of the leaf, it also magnifies everything that belongs to the light. Light passing through the dewdrop creates a very subtle rainbow effect, sometimes just a faint streak of blue or pink violet along the rim of the droplet. Some people once mistook that for a kind of ghost light, but in reality, it is the spectrum being split by the droplet. When astronomers design telescopes, they rely on the same principle. It is fascinating to think that a dewdrop, something tiny on the ground, operates on the same principle as the giant lenses on mountaintops used to observe the stars. You see, nature is always unified. The smallest thing resembles the largest. The most fragile thing contains within it the strength of the universe's structure. When the dewdrop is about to evaporate and magnifies the leaf's patterns, you can imagine it as nature's way of saying goodbye, gently revealing everything most delicate and beautiful, then leaving. No noise, no regret. We are the same. When we walk away from something, sometimes the final moments are when we see most clearly, and there is nothing sad about that. It is beautiful. It is profound. It is maturity. In its role as a lens, the dewdrop reminds us to learn to observe, to learn to recognize beauty in small details, to learn that everything has meaning if we are willing to look closer. And when the last dewdrop dissolves into the light, the tiny patterns it once magnified do not disappear. They return to their original size, but the understanding the dew has given us remains. like a gift, a whisper, a memory. And after we have just contemplated the moment when the dewdrop becomes a tiny microscope, magnifying the hidden world beneath it, you may find yourself wondering, what is it that makes the dew shine and shimmer so softly? What makes it resemble a tiny gemstone resting on the leaf surface, when in essence it is only water? The answer lies not only in its shape or its size, but also in the light. It is light that converses with the dewdrop according to ancient laws of the universe, and from that conversation, the shimmer is born. Light, as physicists have said, is one of the simplest and most complex things in nature. Simple because we see it every day, complex because it behaves according to principles that sometimes defy human intuition. Since ancient times, light has puzzled people. It is both particle and wave. It is both gentle and powerful. It can softly caress the morning dew, yet also cross space at terrifying speed to touch distant worlds. And when light meets a dewdrop, all those qualities seem to gather in a moment that is both ordinary and magnificent. Let us slowly enter the three main phenomena that light creates when it touches the dewdrop: refraction, reflection, and dispersion. There are three chapters in the conversation between the sun and the dew. Refraction is the phenomenon in which light changes direction when passing from one medium to another. Put simply, it is the moment when light hesitates, then changes its path upon meeting matter denser than air. Water is denser than air, so when a ray of light enters a dewdrop, it is like a person stepping from asphalt into tall grass. The speed slows, the direction shifts. This change creates the sense that the dew is glowing from within, as if there were a light placed at its base. One interesting detail is that the dew's nearly spherical shape bends light in a very even way, producing a soft, non-harsh brightness, like light passing through a finely crafted glass prism. Reflection is another story. When light cannot continue through the water droplet, it bounces back out. This creates the tiny glints we see sparkling on the dew's surface. You may have seen this when sunlight shines on foam or a gently rippled lake, but with dew, the reflection becomes far more delicate. Because the droplet's small, smooth surface makes the light graceful, like an artist performing on a specially designed stage. Dispersion is the chapter least known. Dispersion happens when white light is separated into different colors. You have seen a rainbow before, haven't you? That is dispersion of light through large droplets of water in the sky. But a dewdrop is so small that we do not see a full rainbow. Instead, we see only a faint line of slightly bluish or pinkish light at its edge, a tiny dot of spectrum, a miniature rainbow, as many nature photographers have called it. And this only appears when the angle of light is perfect and the dewdrop is in a perfect state. When these three phenomena occur at the same time, the dewdrop becomes a sparkling stage. Refraction gives it inner light. Reflection gives it outer light. Dispersion gives it color. Each dewdrop thus becomes a unique gemstone, no two alike. And this is what makes dew beautiful in a way that goes beyond visible charm. It is beautiful because it is the result of a subtle balance between light, shape, and air. Scientists, in many of their studies, have used this shimmer as a metric to assess the purity of the atmosphere. It sounds poetic, but it has a solid scientific basis. When a dewdrop sparkles strongly, the light passing through it is less hindered by dust particles in the air. This means the morning air is relatively clean, with lower pollution. Conversely, when the light appears dull and unclear, it is often because fine particles in the air have scattered the light before it reaches the dew. This means a dewdrop so small we almost overlook it, can function as a natural atmospheric sensor. It measures cleanliness with light itself. And this opens a broader story. The dew is not only part of nature, but also an observer, a mirror reflecting the breathing of its surroundings. When people had no sophisticated instruments, dew already acted as their recorder of air quality. By gauging the brightness of dew under sunlight, one could infer the concentration of fine particles in the air, a simple way of measuring. But sometimes simplicity is the root of nature's wisdom. This also makes us think of why morning light is so important for observing nature. As you have seen, early light is not only gentle on the eyes, it is gentle on matter. It is not so strong as to evaporate the dew instantly. It is just enough to touch it lightly, to make it shimmer without breaking its rounded shape. Morning light is like a patient artist who knows how to use the softest brush strokes. Only when the sun climbs too high does the light become intense and the dew vanish. The shimmer, therefore, is a mark of time. It appears only within a very short interval, so short that if you look away and turn back a few minutes later, the moment may already be gone. Many nature photographers have said that to capture the dew at its most beautiful shimmer, they must wait for hours in dim light, just for 30 golden seconds. And sometimes that scene passes before they can press the shutter. This makes us realize that this beauty, the optical shimmer, is the beauty of what is temporary, and perhaps it is precisely that temporality which makes it so precious. For older listeners, that image easily touches the heart. The most beautiful things in life often appear only for a moment. But if we are not too hurried, if we are willing to stand still for a bit, we can catch them. To understand more deeply, imagine an autumn morning in any quiet American suburb. The air is crisp, the ground slightly damp. You step into your backyard or onto your porch, a hot cup of tea in your hand. The garden is still half asleep. The first light, a little yellow, with a hint of orange, leans through the trees. At that moment, you see a dew drop on a maple leaf. It is clear, round, and just as the light touches it, you spot a tiny bright point. Like a star shining in the foliage. You know it is only reflected light, but it still feels as if something alive is inside that droplet. The dewdrop becomes a point of light that connects you to the morning, as if it were the first dot written on the blank page of the new day. The dew reflects light in ways that are sometimes hard to predict. There are moments when the light seems to be moving inside the droplet, even though it lies still. That is because the angle of light changes constantly as the sun rises little by little. Refraction changes the direction of light. Dispersion changes its color. Reflection sends fine rays shooting out from unexpected angles. One tiny droplet creates an entire concert of light. The dispersion in a dewdrop, faint as it may appear, was once studied by physicists in the 19th century to understand how light is split into colors. It helped clarify the wave nature of light, paving the way for deeper research into optics and atmospheric analysis. Told in technical language, this could sound dry, but seen through the image of a morning dewdrop, science suddenly becomes gentle, easier to touch. This is much like how people view life once they are mature enough. When young, we look for grand events. When older, we find beauty in the smallest things. A shimmering dew drop beneath the sun may hold our gaze longer than a ray of light on a bus window once did. That shimmer reminds us that everything in life is built from small interactions, small oscillations, small moments. But together, they create the larger picture, just like light meeting dew. As the light continues to rise and the sun grows more brilliant, the dew loses its ability to shimmer. Refraction weakens, reflection grows harsher, dispersion disappears. The dew shifts from gemstone to droplet that is fading, and eventually it vanishes into the air. Yet strangely, the beauty remains in our memory, like a soft echo of the morning. Through all of this, you may agree that the dew under early light is not just an optical phenomenon. It is a moment of artistry, a work of nature that opens only for a very short time, like a gallery that lights up for just 15 minutes a day. And if you stand long enough, look slowly enough, you will feel as if you are reading an ancient chapter written in light, a chapter in which the dew plays the role of both letter, paper, and lamp. When you take a gentle breath, let your mind relax and receive that image. You will realize that light, water, and air have been rehearsing this for billions of years without anyone directing them. And in that slow rhythm, you may feel your own heart a little calmer, a little lighter, as if that light were also reflecting the subtle movements within your own soul. And as we step away from the story of how light interacts with dew like a brief morning symphony, perhaps a quiet question arises in you. If humans see that beauty with delight and curiosity, do smaller creatures like insects see it too? And if they do, does the shimmering light of dew mean anything to them? The fascinating answer is yes, and more than you might think. In nature, no moment is truly meaningless. Every phenomenon, no matter how subtle or fragile, has its place in the larger system. Dew, no different from sun or wind, participates in that flow. And what most of us do not expect is this. Early morning dew actually acts as a kind of biological beacon, providing insects with information about their surroundings. To understand this, we must begin with how insects see the world. Human eyes and insect eyes are very different. We see through large eyeballs with a single focal system. Insects see through compound eyes made of thousands of small units, allowing them to detect moving light, reflections, and polarization that our eyes cannot perceive. For them, the world is a tapestry of light, and each bright point carries important environmental information. Under the early morning light, dewdrops become some of those special light points. When the sun is still low, its rays strike the dew at a shallow angle, increasing reflectivity. Physically, the reflected light from those droplets has very distinctive directions, making it easy for insects to recognize. Some studies show that bees, butterflies, and many small insects can detect these reflective signals, similar to how pilots see runway lights from afar. But why do they care about dew? Because dew is an early sign of humidity, of water sources, and even of the safety of that area. On the insect's tiny scale, water is not easy to find. A tiny dew drop to us can be a whole pond to them, so they need to quickly identify where there is water, where it is dry, and where conditions are ideal for feeding or shelter. In those few morning minutes when the dew is still intact, not yet evaporated by the sun, it is the light reflected from the droplets that helps insects locate these things. Imagine a small bee just waking up in its warm hive. It flies out to seek nectar before the flowers fully open, before colors grow vivid under stronger light. It sees tiny bright spots on the leaves. Those points, the reflections from dew, tell the bee that the environment is moist enough for safe movement, that there are no signs of severe drought or danger. These signals are crucial, especially for wild bees or early foraging pollinators. For many other insects, dew marks micro-water sources. Smaller species, like ladybugs or early ants, need extremely little water, sometimes just a few molecules to maintain internal balance. A dewdrop is therefore a precious reservoir. The interesting part is that not all dewdrops send the same kind of signal. Each type of leaf, each surface, each angle of light creates different reflection patterns. Insects seem to have learned this over millions of years of evolution. They read these patterns the way humans read road signs, and with modern research, this is no longer just speculation. Numerous experiments in recent decades have shown that reflected light from water droplets can guide insects toward wetter areas and even influence their flight paths. Certain dragonfly species, for instance, are attracted to reflective surfaces that resemble water. When scientists placed bright objects on the ground, dragonflies often flew toward them, mistaking them for ponds. This shows that orientation by reflected light is real. In the early morning, dew reflects light at low angles, creating highly polarized light, a feature insect eyes are much more sensitive to than human eyes. That polarization becomes a clear signal for navigation. The more remarkable moment is when light not only signals water, but also signals the safety condition of the environment. If leaves are dusty, the dew's reflective pattern changes. If the air has a high concentration of fine particles, light is scattered before reaching the dew, dulling its sparkle. Insects can detect these differences and sometimes avoid such areas. It sounds very much like an ancient warning system, doesn't it? A system nature has built from light, water, and living creatures without any artificial technology. For older listeners, this story may feel familiar. In life, we too learn to read subtle signals around us. The color of the sky hinting at rain, birdsong suggesting a fine day, or the way evening light leans through the window, suggesting it is time to rest. Dew plays a similar role for insects. A gentle, fragile, but deeply useful sign. In nature, life does not unfold at random. It unfolds through quiet, intricate relationships. Dew is one such relationship. It does not merely adorn the morning. It is part of the communication protocol between organisms and their environment. Keep imagining that morning scene where the dew rests on a maple leaf in a peaceful garden. The light is just enough to reveal tiny glimmers rolling on the surface. A small ant comes near. It does not see the dew as we do, but as a clearly marked bright point, a gentle signpost. It approaches, touches the edge of the droplet, and absorbs a minute amount of water. Then it leaves, continuing its day. Or imagine a moth just finishing its night flight. Morning is when it needs rest and metabolic adjustment. The dew serves as a quick water source. The light reflected from it helps the moth choose a landing spot. We, with human eyes, see this as a beautiful scene. The insect sees it as a living map. Researchers have also noticed a curious fact. Without dew, many insects' early morning behavior changes significantly. They move more slowly, lose orientation more easily, and struggle to find water. This shows that dew is not just decoration, it is a functioning part of the ecosystem. On a deeper level, dew helps regulate the biological rhythms of some insects. When the reflections from dew appear, they know night has ended. When those reflections fade, they know the sun is high and strong. UV must be avoided. It is a simple yet effective way for them to sense time. Think of it. An entire tiny world revolves around those little points of light, and the dew, with all its fragility, becomes a messenger for the ecosystem. Perhaps that is why, as people grow older, they begin to recognize the value of small things. What once seemed unimportant, like a droplet on a leaf, turns out to contain more stories than great, dramatic events. In the language of bedtime storytelling, The dew feels like a modest yet profoundly wise character. It reminds us that the gentle signs that appear each morning can carry great meaning. A ray of light through the curtain, birds singing under the eaves, the chill of morning brushes the skin. All are natural signals we sometimes forget to heed. Dew is the same. It exists only for a short time, but within that time it does far more than we imagine. It reflects light, gauges air, purity, magnifies leaf structures, and now, as we have seen it, sends messages to tiny creatures around it. Morning, then, is not only the beginning of light, it is the beginning of a subtle conversation among nature's elements, and the dewdrop is one of its gentlest speakers. If you soften your mind and picture this before sleep, you may feel the connection among all things: light and water, insects and humans. And it is this connection that makes the story so soothing. And then, as the sun grows stronger, the dew finishes its role. It leaves behind a morning full of messages, then vanishes light as a breath. And as we step away from the story of how dew sends light signals to insects, you may find yourself wondering something very simple yet profound. If light interacts with each dewdrop so delicately, are the dewdrops on every leaf the same? Or does each leaf, each species of plant, create its own personality for its dew? That question, which seems obvious, opens up an entirely new world. A world in which dew is not just water, but a trace of evolution. In truth, not all dewdrops are alike, and not every leaf holds dew in the same way. Some leaves make the dew perfectly round like pearls. Some make the droplets flatten out like thin mirrors. Some leaves cause the dew to slide off easily, as if coated with an invisible oil. Others hold the droplets for a long time, like gentle arms cradling them until the sun is high. These differences are not random. They are the result of microscopic surface structures, and every tiny detail tells a story of adaptation. To understand this, we must start with the leaf itself, a structure that seems simple, yet is the product of hundreds of millions of years of evolution. The leaf surface is not as smooth as it appears to the naked eye. Under a microscope, it is a complex world: ridges, stomata, tiny hairs, and a thin, waxy coating across it. It is this waxy coating, called the cuticle, that plays a key role in how dew behaves. Leaves with a thick, smooth, waxy layer make dewdrops round and easily rolling. Leaves with porous or hairy surfaces hold the dew, spreading it out more. Imagine two leaves in the morning. One a lotus leaf, one a North American maple leaf. On the lotus leaf, dew beads up in perfect spheres, dancing on the surface and rolling away like glass beads. On the maple leaf, the dew is flatter, less prone to sliding, clinging longer. This difference led scientists to discover the lotus effect, one of the most famous biological findings of the 20th century. The lotus effect, put simply, is the lotus leaf's ability to never get dirty. Its surface has nanoscale bumps that prevent water from spreading. Instead, it forms round droplets, and when these roll off, they carry dust away. This is why lotus leaves stay clean, even in muddy ponds. By contrast, other leaves, such as oak, maple, or birch, use different strategies. They do not immediately push the water away, but hold it, allowing some of it to be absorbed, to nourish surface cells, or cool the leaf. This explains why some species tolerate sun better, while others prefer shade. Each is connected to how they treat water, but if we look even deeper, we will see that the dewdrop is also evidence of climate adaptation. Plants that live in arid places, such as cacti or desert shrubs, often have leaves or stems with superhydrophobic structures. Dewdrops slide off them very quickly, because these plants do not want to keep water on their surface for too long. That could cause them to lose water when the sun hits. In contrast, plants in humid regions hold dewdrops longer, because water is not so scarce, and the dew also helps cool the leaves in the morning. What is strange is this: the dew reacts to the leaf surface in much the same way humans react to their living environment. We, too, lean with circumstances, change the shape of our inner world according to context, sometimes cling, sometimes let go and dissolve. And for listeners aged 45 to 90, that image more easily stirs emotion, because a human life is like a leaf. There are phases in which we must hold on, and phases in which we must release. If you close your eyes, try to imagine the feeling of touching two different kinds of leaves in the morning. A lotus leaf is cool, smooth like stone, and dewdrops stand on it as perfect spheres. A maple leaf is softer, slightly rough, and the dew spreads gently around, as if seeping into the surface. Those small differences are signals for biologists. From them, they infer how plants adapt to their environments, which species tolerate drought, which tolerate moisture, and which have evolved to defend against fungal infection. In this role, the dewdrop is not just a pleasant morning sight. It is a clue for decoding evolutionary secrets. To understand this more clearly, imagine a dewdrop resting on a rhododendron leaf. The surface of the rhododendron leaf is covered in tiny hairs. When the dewdrop touches down, these hairs hold it in place, keeping it from sliding easily. This is no coincidence. The rhododendron has developed this structure to limit the penetration of water into leaf tissue, because prolonged surface wetness can promote fungal growth. Holding the dew at a small distance just above the surface allows the water to evaporate without the leaf staying too wet for too long. Conversely, an alfalfa leaf actively pushes the water outward. Its surface creates tiny channels invisible to the naked eye. The dewdrop slides along these pathways and falls to the base of the plant, where the roots can absorb the water. A clever strategy to make full use of the morning moisture. You see, the dew lies still, yet it reveals the survival strategies of the plant. Some tropical plants, like banana trees, use large, smooth leaves as natural roofs. When there is dew or light rain, water droplets slide down and fall at the base of the plant, keeping the soil moist throughout the day. This helps the plant thrive even in the heat. Meanwhile, coniferous trees of northern forests with needle-like leaves such as pines and firs do not hold water. It slides along the needles and falls to the ground immediately. This helps prevent water from freezing on the leaves in winter, protecting the tree from broken branches. The dewdrop is living evidence of this wisdom. It tells the story of each plant species not with words, but by how it behaves on the leaf surface. But we do not stop at plants. Dew also helps biologists observe natural water-repellent mechanisms. From the lotus leaf, engineers learned to create water-resistant coatings for car windows, jackets, and even self-cleaning paints for buildings. From ancient fern leaves, they understood how water spreads to cool surfaces. From bamboo leaves, they learned how to design self-cleaning materials. We can say that the dewdrop, though very small, is a bridge between nature and technology. But in the lull of a bedtime narrative, we can feel this more softly. The dewdrop is proof of nature's refinement, where everything, leaf or water, has a reason to exist exactly as it is, and the differences in how dew slides or clings, dissolves or stays, form a miniature evolutionary map of the plant world. If you listen inward for a few slow breaths, you will see that image more clearly. The dewdrop, in gentle golden light, lies on the leaf in its characteristic shape. It is like a small word in nature's vast book. The way it responds to the leaf's surface is a message, a story, a secret. And if you walk through a forest in the early morning, you will see millions of droplets telling millions of different stories. The lotus leaf pushes dew away. The maple leaf holds it. Needles let it fall. None of these behaviors is random. All are adaptations, subtle, profound, and poetic. Many biologists who study dew say, "Watch how water behaves. It will tell you what the plant wants." And they are not wrong. Dew helps them understand that rainforest trees love moisture, but fear waterlogging. Prairie plants love the sun and need water to reach the soil. Cold region plants must shed water quickly to avoid freezing. Every surface, every structure, every waxy layer is a survival strategy. And what is fascinating is that all this information is written into the dew each morning, as though nature were leaving notes for anyone patient enough to observe. For the listener lying in bed, about to drift to sleep, these stories bring a soft comfort, because they remind us difference is not abnormal. Each leaf has its own way, and each dewdrop does too. Just as each person has their own path to adapt, to bend without breaking, to hold on, or to let go. And when the sun climbs high, that dew drop slowly evaporates, carrying the story of the leaf into the air. But the beauty is that even though the dew disappears, the leaf's adaptation remains. And tomorrow, another dewdrop will rest there again, continuing the old story in a new shape. And as we step away from the story of each leaf's delicate adaptation to dew, perhaps a quiet question has arisen in you. If a dewdrop can carry the secret of the leaf, can it also carry the secret of the whole atmosphere around it? What happens if we see the dew as a tiny storage vault, recording the history of the night, even the history of the environment? The answer is as light as a breath, yet as strong as light itself. The dewdrop is indeed a miniature ecological diary. For a long time, many cultures have regarded dew as a symbol of purity. The Celts believed that morning dew carried the breath of the forest spirits, bringing health to those who touched it. In Japan, dew symbolizes the fragility of life, known as tsuyu in haiku. Ancient Jewish tradition saw dew as a morning blessing, and even in Western culture, especially in the Middle Ages, women would collect dew in small flasks for skincare, believing it purer than any other water. But modern science gives us a different perspective. Dew is not only pure, it precisely reflects what has been floating in the air all night. Each drop is a miniature sample of the atmosphere, containing within it a chemical story, sometimes beautiful, sometimes sobering. To understand this, we must return to how dew forms. When night falls and plant surfaces cool below the air temperature, water vapor condenses. But it does not fall like rain. It clings to the leaf surface, quietly gathering the tiny molecules around it. Among those molecules are fine dust, organic compounds, pollen, heavy metals, and even traces of industrial emissions. In other words, the dewdrop is the crystallization of the night. It gathers everything the air has carried. It keeps them like a silent recorder. To picture this, imagine an evening in a quiet North American forest. As it cools, the air grows denser. Tiny particles, pine pollen, forest dust, wildflower scents start drifting slowly in the thin mist. By the next morning, all of that lies inside a single dewdrop, wrapped into something you can see. But if you are near a city, the dew is different. It may contain dust from cars, sulfur dioxide from industry, and traces of nitrates from farm fertilizers carried by the wind. Each place, each region, each pattern of weather writes different pages in the dew diary. Science has made use of this in many environmental studies. Meteorologists collect dewdrops from various places each morning and analyze their composition. From that, they can determine pollution levels in the area, see what the wind has brought overnight, and assess how clean the air is. The dewdrop is a natural monitoring tool, harmless and extremely precise. What is interesting is that dew reflects truths humans cannot sense with their own bodies. There are levels of pollution so low that our eyes cannot see, and our noses cannot smell, but the dew records them all. One study in California caused surprise. Scientists collected dew from leaves in the morning at two locations: a peaceful green suburb and an area near a busy freeway. To the naked eye, the dew in both places looked equally clear and sparkling, but on analysis, dew near the freeway contained concentrations of heavy metals like lead and zinc many times higher. This proved what many people overlook. Nighttime air still carries traces of traffic, even when roads seem quiet. In another study, dew in farm areas carried traces of ammonia, a gas arising from fertilizers and livestock waste. This helped scientists predict impacts on the respiratory health of nearby residents. We can say that dew is a kind of forensic document of the atmosphere. But in the rhythm of a bedtime story, we can feel this as something gentler. The dewdrop is a quiet secretary. It does not judge, does not speak loudly. It simply writes down what it sees. Each dewdrop is a tiny page in nature's invisible book. An older person can easily grasp this meaning. The longer we live, the more we understand the value of small things that record big changes. Like a grandparent noticing the shifts of time through tiny details. Fewer birds than last year, sunsets of a different color, skies no longer as clear as in their youth. Dew also records these changes in its own way, through chemistry. What makes dew a perfect environmental journal is its ability to collect molecules from multiple layers of air. As night deepens, cold air presses molecules closer to the ground. This is called nocturnal inversion. When that layer compresses, it pushes fine particles downward. That is why scientists call dew a natural filter. If you walk near a lake or meadow in the early morning, you may sometimes see thicker, larger dewdrops. This is not random. Lakes and meadows have high humidity, allowing more vapor to condense. That same high humidity lets dew collect more molecules from the air. We can imagine the dewdrop as a little box nature puts out every night. As night comes, the box opens, catching everything that passes by. By morning, it closes into a tiny gem on a leaf, ready for anyone observant enough to open and read. If you looked at a dewdrop under an electron microscope, you would see fine dust particles clinging to its surface like tiny stars. Some particles are only a few nanometers across. Some are organic molecules from last night's foliage. Some are salty if the sea winds have blown in, and sometimes there are striking particles. Ash from wildfires, traces of industry, or even pollen from plants growing tens of miles away. Dew records the movement of air. But the most beautiful point is this: dew can warn of environmental changes very early, before humans feel them. In the deserts of Arizona, environmental scientists use dew to predict drought levels. When dew shows high concentrations of mineral ions, it proves there is much dust in the air, an indicator of increasing aridity. In Canadian forests, rising acidity in dew appeared before residents became aware of acid rain problems. Dew becomes the first link in an ecological warning chain. If you pay attention, this is like life. The first signs of change often appear very softly. A movement, a breath, a glance. If we ignore them, we miss them. But do not ignore. It gathers everything. For listeners aged 45 to 90, this story resonates even more deeply. They have watched the world change over decades. Skies from clear to hazy, winters from long to short, summers growing hotter. Dew gives them another way to sense those changes, a gentle way, without blame, without judgment, simply reflecting. Another interesting point. Dew can hold chemical traces of nighttime activities no longer present by day. For example, some pollutants break down quickly under sunlight, but if they bind to the dew before sunrise, they are sealed inside the droplet and become proof of their presence. This helps scientists know exactly what happened during the night. You see, the tiny dewdrop works quietly like nature's night watchman. And then, when the sun rises higher, the dew evaporates, releasing those molecules back into the air or into the soil, continuing their natural cycles. But the information that dew recorded does not vanish. It remains in the scientist's memory, in the data, in our understanding of the environment. In our bedtime story, this carries a soft but deep meaning. Everything in nature has a role, no matter how small. The brief existence of a dewdrop is not meaningless. It leaves behind insight. It illuminates what the naked eye cannot see. It reminds us that fragility still has value. And in the end, the dewdrop is also a gentle call for humans to care about their environment. Because if something we consider pure already carries traces of pollution, the fault is not in the dew, but in the air around us. The dew only tells the truth, and that truth, whether soothing or unsettling, is nature's message each morning for anyone willing to look. And after we have gone still for a moment before the truth that a dewdrop can record the entire chemistry lesson of the night sky, perhaps you can feel a quiet curiosity unfolding in your mind, soft as a leaf stirring in the breeze. If a dewdrop contains so many stories, then the moment it disappears, that very last moment, what decides it? Why does it leave? Is it the sun that decides? The wind? The leaf itself? And what makes that vanishing feel both natural and mysterious? This is the final story the dewdrop wants to tell, the story of its moment of disappearance, where science and poetry meet in a single breath. When we watch a dewdrop slowly fade under sunlight, we tend to think the reason is simple. It gets warmer and the dew evaporates. But that is only the tip of the iceberg. In truth, the dew does not vanish only because of the sun. It leaves, thanks to a combination of invisible forces: temperature, humidity, air movement, and the microscopic structure of the surface it rests on. Each factor contributes a small part, like musicians in a delicate orchestra, performing the symphony that returns the dew to the sky. If we slow down enough to observe, we will see that the last moment is full of rules and full of surprises. First, let's talk about heat. Morning temperatures do not rise evenly. When the sun has just appeared above the horizon, its light is still weak, not yet enough to drive strong evaporation. But the sun does more than warm the air. It warms the leaf itself, and each type of leaf absorbs light differently. Dark leaves absorb more light than light-colored ones. Smooth leaves warm faster than hairy leaves. The dewdrop evaporates when the leaf surface has warmed enough to transfer heat through the thin water layer. But the marvel is this: Water does not evaporate uniformly. It evaporates faster at the edges of the droplet, where contact with air is greatest, and more slowly at the center. This mechanism is called the edge evaporation effect. If you look closely, you will see the dew does not disappear like a lamp being switched off. It thins from the outside inward, shrinking like a melting piece of candy. Larger drops last longer, smaller ones fade faster. But no two drops vanish in the same way. This forces science to admit the timing of a dewdrop's disappearance is the result of a thermodynamic problem so complex that no simple formula can fully capture it. But temperature is only part of the story. Dew is also strongly affected by wind. Even a soft breeze, a current of air so gentle we cannot feel it, completely changes the evaporation rate. Wind carries water vapor away from the droplet's surface, making the air just above it relatively drier. Drier air accelerates evaporation. That is why dew on windy hillsides often vanishes faster than dew in sheltered forests, where the air near the leaves stays more static. Curiously, sometimes the dew does not disappear from the heat at all, but because the wind breaks it, tiny droplets can be blown apart into smaller ones, which evaporate more quickly. Larger drops can be pushed to slide off, leaving the leaf bare. This is why you can see two leaves side by side on the same tree at the same time of day. Yet their dew disappears at different moments. One is just a bit more exposed to wind, the other slightly more sheltered. That small difference is enough to make a dewdrop live a few minutes longer or shorter. And those few minutes, for a dewdrop, are an entire lifetime. There is another factor, the most mysterious, the most delicate, the surface structure. A dewdrop always rests on something. It may be a leaf, a petal, a stem, or even the ground. And that resting place largely determines how it disappears. A leaf surface may store heat more or less efficiently. It may absorb water or repel it. It may have tiny hairs or be smooth as glass. These things alter the way heat travels into the droplet, the rate of evaporation, and the adhesion between water and the surface. Some leaves cause dew to break into smaller droplets as soon as sunlight touches them. Some cause the droplet to contract, growing smaller as if exhaling its final breaths. Some cause the dew to slide away the moment the sun appears on the horizon. Each leaf and each dew drop upon it lives by its own rhythm. All of this turns the dew's disappearance into a problem of many variables: air temperature, humidity, wind speed, droplet shape, surface wax, and the nature of the leaf or material it rests on. A big equation behind a small event. But it is precisely this complexity that makes the dew's vanishing one of the most delicate phenomena in nature. You never know the exact second the droplet will be gone. You only know it is about to go. Like sunset, you know the rough time, but never the precise instant when light becomes darkness. And in that uncertainty, there is a deeply human beauty. If older listeners close their eyes and breathe slowly, they may sense something familiar here. Life, too, has such vanishing moments. Small things, gentle moments, warm feelings sometimes do not end for a single obvious reason. They dissolve through the resonance of many elements: time, circumstance, memory, and tiny shifts in the soul. The dew disappears because of the sun, but also because of the wind, the leaf, and the passing of the night, and people find themselves changed by many such small things. Not only by age, but by longer sighs, quieter evenings, vaguer thoughts. Science gives us a clear answer, but the dew offers us a softer one. A physicist once said that the evaporation of a droplet is a miniature model of the universe, where energy spreads, molecules move, and time flows in its own current. When the dew evaporates, it does not cease to exist. It returns to the air, to the clouds, to the endless water cycle. This reminds us that an ending is not erasure, but transformation. And if you have ever stood on a cold morning, watching a dew drop vanish on your fingertip, you may have felt this more clearly than any explanation. One small thing can hold an entire universe. One brief moment can open a lifetime of reflection. The dew has taught us that. As the story reaches its end, the sun is now higher in the imagined sky we are walking beneath. The last dewdrop has left the leaf, dissolved into the light. It leaves behind a cool, dry surface, a little more vapor in the air, and quiet questions in the heart of the observer. But the most beautiful part is this: the dew departs in peace. No sound, no trace. Only a very gentle, completely natural transition. Just like the way we slip into sleep a moment no one can pinpoint exactly. We only know there is a point between two breaths when we pass from waking into dreaming. And that journey is just as complex, subtle, and beautiful as the dew's dissolution. And as you lie here, listening to this story, you may feel something very small inside you, also beginning to melt light, slow, calm. Like the dewdrop, you too are returning to your most natural quiet. No need to try, no need to hold on, just let yourself follow your breathing. Because you are also part of this universe where every small thing has meaning and every moment is softly connected to the next. The dew has vanished. The sun continues its path across the sky. And you, in this moment, are drifting into your own stillness. You may close your eyes now and let your thoughts dissolve like mist. If your mind still wants to wander, let it continue its journey to the next story, where we go deeper into the mysteries of the soul. And if your body is already tired, then let this voice cradle you into sleep. No effort needed, only breath. And remember, everything you are seeking is already resting quietly within you.